The full half hour today on Weekday, we're spending it talking about My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Not mine, the film. You won't want to go anywhere. So stay tuned for Weekday. Hello and welcome to Weekday. I'm Ernie Manouse. Today on the show, we're very happy to have two of the stars of the new film, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, with us. You might know John Corbett from things like Sex and the City or maybe Northern Exposure, a little show you did a while ago. Nia Vardalos. I screwed up the name. I'm going to keep going, though. Greek it is. Vardalos?
It's Nia Vardalos.
In English.
Englishised. Yeah.
What does your husband, what's he call it?
My husband, when we're playing poker, calls me Nia Vardalos.
Well, there you go. Nia Vardalos is here with us. And actually, you not only are in this movie, you wrote this movie, conceived it as a one-woman show, Second City alum, all of that.
Yeah.
So, how did you two come together for this project?
Tell him.
Well, you know what happened? I'm going to tell you the real story. Okay. We were about to shoot, and there was a bit of a conflict in that there was a guy that some of the producers wanted, and I just didn't want him.
And so, that was?
I can't remember his name. So we went up to Toronto to begin shooting. We had Toronto's Greektown, which mirrored Chicago's Greektown, and we were in a restaurant, and in walked John Corbett. And for weeks, we'd been trying to set up a meeting, and his agent said he's out of town. What they didn't tell us is he was in the same town we were. Yeah, like just a mix-up. So go on.
Okay, so I read this script, and I love it. And I call my agents, and they say, they made an offer to somebody else. We shouldn't have sent it to you. And I was really bummed out. And this was about two days of this. And so I was working on another movie called Serendipity. That's why I was in Toronto. And I had the day off, and they wrapped around 10 o'clock at night and came back to the hotel bar. We were staying at the Sutton place up there where every actor in the world who's ever made a movie in Toronto stays. And they called me up and said, come on down to the bar and have a drink. We just got off work. Okay, I'll be down. So I walk into the bar and I sit down and I'm talking to a couple the hairdresser actually. And she says, so what's up for you? You know, the movie's ending in about a week, and, you know, and everybody wants to know what you're doing next so that maybe they can come be your hair and makeup person on a job if they don't have one. And I said, well, I just read this great script, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And she goes, who's in it? I go, I don't know, but I want to be. And tap, tap, tap on my shoulder. I turn around, and it's Gary Getzman, Hank's partner. And he introduces himself and tells me what he's doing.
Hanks,
I said,
as in Tom Hanks, for you're not following at home. Go on.
and Tom Hanks' partner, Gary Getzman, and he says, yeah, we're here making a movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And I went, I just read this thing. I go, it's great. Who's the girl? I know that the star, Nia Vardalos.
That's a joke.
I know that this girl, whose name I can't pronounce at the time either, is starring in it, which never happens, you know, because I asked my guys when they sent me the script, who's this girl? And they didn't have any information on her. And she's never done a movie. And so I say to Getzman, who is she? And he goes, well, turn to your right. Turn to my right, and she's sitting right next to me.
Like a stalker.
Okay.
10 minutes later, they offer me the role. Now, this never happens. Usually, you have to say, let's come in, let's talk about it, have your people call my people. And I go, if I shake your hand, I'm in this movie. I couldn't get a meeting with them for 2 days, and they say, yeah, and I shake their hand. And I got the movie, and I'm working on it a week later. They had 4 days to go to start shooting. They still hadn't found their guy yet.
Well, which always amazes me that you can get to that point in a production and not have casting done. I've heard this story before, and I have to wonder, knowing Greeks all my life too,
right?
You were at that bar because you knew he was staying at that hotel, weren't you?
You know what's so creepy? I didn't know.
Oh, come on. There's no way.
Yeah, isn't that weird? He walked in, and I went, there's John Corbett. I couldn't believe it. We were like this, and we could hear him talking about the movie. We could hear it. It was so weird.
So it wasn't planned?
It wasn't planned.
And it all came?
Yeah.
All they heard was that I was out of town.
Out of town. And we were there
funny.
in the same town. Isn't that weird? And the thing is, I was nervous because I'd never done a big movie before, and I was like, we don't have a male lead. We don't have a male lead. And they said to me, you know what? What is supposed to happen is going to happen, which is very Greek.
Yeah.
And I just went, all right. And I kind of threw fate up to the wind, and then...
Okay, 4 days, though, before shooting...
Yeah.
you're not that comfortable about it. You're not saying, throw it up to the wind.
Oh, man, I would have cast one of my cousins and kissed him. I didn't care. I was like, just find me somebody. I was so nervous. Yeah.
Now, you say when you read the script, you just knew you loved it. When you get as many scripts as anybody in this profession will get, and they can run the gamut,
Right.
how do you know what is a good script? Because also you've got to take into consideration who you're going to be working with, who's directing, all of that. How did you know this would translate?
Because one of the gifts I've been given is 135 hours of Northern exposure, which is some of the finest writing ever, in my opinion. And we did some really great shows and some turds, you know. And I got to the point after 135 scripts, being able to breeze through one and know which one I had in my hand. And when I read Big Fat Greek Wedding, it's what I like to call a page turner, man. I can't wait to turn that page.
Yeah. Take me back to Northern Exposure for a second and tell me, when you guys started on it, did you have any idea what you were entering into? As you said, you could tell the good scripts from the bad scripts. Did you know it was going to be so big when it started out? Did you know it was going to catch people?
When I got Northern Exposure, it was my first thing. I had a job working in Hollywood at the Magic Castle, which is it's a private club there only for magicians, and I used to introduce the acts. And I had to go to Seattle to do 8 shows of Northern Exposure, and I begged them to hold my job for me because, one, I loved this job, and two, you know, I thought I was going to go there for 8 shows and come back, and they couldn't do it. And we did the 8 shows, which took us, I guess, about 3.5 months to film, and CBS didn't know what to do with it, so it was, after those initial 8 shows, it was 8 months before they decided to pick us up again. And we were supposed to do the next season of 13, and they were so unsure that all the actors had to sign a contract saying we would only do 8 shows because we were guaranteed 13, and they wanted to take the others away from us and not pay us, and we had to sign these things. Otherwise, they said they weren't going to make the show. So no way, man. We replaced Knots Landing, if you remember that show, for the summer, and it just caught on like this movie. It caught on. It just, you know, people went nuts for it.
That is so funny. I never think in my mind, just like you don't imagine at the same time that All in the Family was going on, Mary Tyler Moore was going on, you forget that Knots Landing stopped and you guys started. It seems like there's such different decades of television. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting you put it like that. Mm. What were you doing during that same time? So late 80s, early 90s?
I was in theater school, and then I was at Second City in Chicago. I was performing with a cast of 6 people and writing our own material and doing shows and fighting with each other.
Okay, but you say that real nice, but if I understand it correctly, you started in the box office at Second City. You didn't start in the cast.
You did your homework. Okay, here's what happened to me. I couldn't get hired by Second City. I was doing musical theater all over Toronto, and I couldn't get hired. So someone said, if you work there, you can take classes for free, and you can watch the show. So 3 weeks, I worked in the box office. And I watched the show every night. I would just take people's tickets, say, hey, have a good time. The show would start. I lock up the box office and go and watch the show for 3 weeks. And so one night it was 8:15, the show was about to start, and the stage manager came rushing into the box office looking for an understudy's phone number. And I said, what are you doing? Because, you know, I love gossip. And she said, so-and-so is sick. She got rushed to the hospital. I'm looking for her understudy. And she was waiting for the phone, and nobody was picking up. And she was like, oh, and she hung up the phone and went backstage. And I just went, and something transported my body, and I went backstage, and I had my glasses on and some sweatpants, and I went, I'm a member of Equity, and I think I know your show. And they went, get out of here. And I went, oh, okay, sorry. And so I walked down the hall thinking, now I'm going to get fired from the box office, too. And then they came down, they went, hey, kid. And I was like, yeah. And they said, do you know the show? Do you really know the show? And I was like, yeah, I do. I just have one of those memories, I can remember things. So one of the lead actors poked his head out, and he said, do you know None? Which was the opening scene, two-hander, 2 people on stage. And I went, I think so. And he just fired the lines at me, and I went, hana. And I fired them back, and they went, all right, put her on. And it was 8:25, and they went, go. And the lights came down, and they put me on, and I did the entire show, and I could hear you know when you're underwater and you can hear the waves of laughter of an audience. That's what it sounded like. And then the show ended, and they went, oh, they were trying to buy me whiskey and everything, and I went, I need to go home. I need to go home. And I walked home, and all the way home I was going, oh my god. And I got home and I sat on the couch and I went, ah, and I just cried. I cried for an hour.
But in these stories, you're talking about when the two of you met to do this movie, you're thinking
Yeah.
there, what do you guys both think makes celebrity? How does somebody make it? Because these things sound so happenstance.
Yeah.
But how much is talent, ability, and how much is pure luck in this profession?
I think it's a lot of being prepared for your lucky break. I think most people are more talented than me and maybe John, and they're struggling struggling in Hollywood. But I think I've been hit by lightning twice, not really, but I mean with the Second City night and the Tom Hanks coming to my stage show night, I've been hit by lightning. So I think you just have to be ready, right?
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a celebrity, but I'm not. But I don't really feel like one. But when I go out anywhere, people remind me that I am and that I'm in their houses, and it's odd. I don't know. I just like to act. It's just what I like to do. And I guess everything else that goes along with it is part. I don't know.
Authors often come on this show, and I always think it's so funny. Their whole career is spent alone writing, and then they're sent out on these publicity tours where they have to talk about stuff. Mm-hmm. You guys want to be performers, actors, to act, but then you become these celebrities where everyone is going to act a little differently toward you. Do the two of those ever come together? Do you accept it because it goes with it? Do you ever wish, I want to do my craft, but I don't want this recognition. I don't want people to see me and point me out. Or do you realize that's part of it? Either one of you. I'll just wait.
You know what it is, Ernie? I'm not famous, so I don't know. I can't really relate. Like, I don't have people coming up to me and like I see with John, people come up to him and they're like, I love you, and they have this connection. My small part of it is going into the back of theaters and hearing people laugh at me on the screen and what I've written, and I'm like, that's cool. I don't see it as a burden yet,
Yeah.
Maybe I won't get famous, I don't know, but I do see it as a connection, and it's pretty interesting.
Well, you're on your way now. You're on this show. There's no way people
There's no stopping me. That's what I've heard. They said when you come to Houston,
Yeah, got to do Ernie show. Yeah,
exactly.
That's the one to.
And then you're going to get mobbed.
How about for you? When did you start realizing, and I often hear, and I think it's so bizarre, when you're working on a series, you don't often know the reaction you're getting at the time because you guys are working. Mm-hmm. So when does it hit you that you're known?
Maybe when they start sending you that free stuff.
Yeah.
Please, they send me that free stuff. No one knows me.
I think the first time when I was doing Northern Exposure that somebody stopped me and talked to me and said they saw me on the show, I bet you I talked to them for a half hour. And that probably went on for, a few months. And now I've been famous for about 12 years, and I've kind of got it down to some winks and gestures now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You did that to me this morning.
I know, right?
Leaving the hotel.
I wasn't quite sure who you were.
Yeah.
I would be not very truthful if I told you that it wasn't a burden a lot of the time. Only because, for a decade now, I've talked on a daily basis with lots of total strangers. But that's cool, but the thing that's boring to me is it's always the same thing. So I have the same conversation many times a day about the same things, like what is Sarah Jessica Parker like, or what, you know what I'm saying? It just goes on and on and on, and it's not their fault. They're only meeting me for the first time, and they're only asking me the question once, but I'm not sure they realize that I've heard it a million times. And I try to answer them as if I'm answering them for the first time, but truthfully, it's, it is what it is. It's what it sounds like.
We're more fascinated, like, I think people in our industry, you meet someone who is a brain surgeon, or a nurse, and I'm like, that's an amazing life. You're doing something pretty fascinating with your life, and they're more fascinated with what we do. Like, what's Tom Hanks like? And I'm like, what's it like to hold a human organ?
That again? That question again.
Yeah, I met Skilling from Enron, and I was talking to him, the president of Enron, before it collapsed, and his big thing is his brother's the weatherman at WGN in Chicago. And he said, I can call my parents up. This was before everything happened with Enron. Call my parents up and I can tell them, we just did this major merger, we did this. And his mom will say back, your brother's hosting the Thanksgiving parade. It's like he can do nothing to amount to this television celebrity. But it fascinates me. And my problem is when I walk in the store, no way can I compare my celebrity to your celebrity. But I'll walk in the grocery store and someone will do the nod wink, and my fear is always, do I know that person? Where did I meet them, and should I be acknowledging them? And I always forget they might have just seen me on TV. And so that's my weird one. It's like, oh yeah, hi, how are you? And I always pretend I know everybody. It's the only way through it.
Yeah.
But okay, tell me about then Sex and the City just for a second, and then we're going to get to the movie.
No, it's cool. It's like...
are you coming back? That's the big question.
You know, I don't know, and that's the truth. They haven't invited me back, and, you know, Sarah's going to have a baby now, and I know she needs to get some rest because she works so hard on that show. I mean, she really... We'll work on it for 14 or 15 hours, and then she'll go upstairs for 2 hours of wardrobe fittings and rewrites, and, you know, because she's really hands-on. I mean, I've never seen an actor as hands-on as her. Yeah. So, you know, she's you know, she needs to get her rest if she's...
But they've cut back on the amount of shows they're doing, if I'm reading the trades correctly, right?
You know, yeah, I think they're going to do 8, but I still think she needs... I wouldn't be surprised if they just scrap the whole season so that she could rest and have this baby and be healthy, and, you know, because it really does. I mean, I'm 6'5", 230 pounds, and I'm exhausted, you know, and Sarah weighs under 100 pounds.
How tall is she? Because I didn't realize how tall you were. And in the show, I never realized the huge height difference. Do you guys cheat that and stuff?
No.
Is she very tall?
Well, she wears those shoes, you know, so that puts her up to maybe 5'7", you know, but I think she's about maybe 5'4".
Really? Because I never realized the height difference there.
Yeah, I'm about a foot taller than her.
Yeah.
How tall are you?
That.
I'm 5'6", but sometimes we would get you
see those shoes. Put that shoe up in the
camera. Oh, yeah. And I got these. Yeah. But we would do, sometimes you do it in your socks, and I would be...
That's right.
Yeah.
And that takes, you know, maybe that much off.
And when I say it, I mean the scene.
The scene. Of course, the scenes. Talking about My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah.
Okay, one-woman show, you're doing it.
Yeah.
How does this all come to be?
I was trying to get a job in Hollywood, and there are parts for Hispanic actors and there are parts for white girls. And so when you fall into the category in between Greek, it's not that easy to get a job. So I had a lousy agent who never sent me out on auditions, and I thought, I am not going to let the city tell me who I am. If I'm going to be the Greek girl in town, I'm going to be the Greek girl in town. So I got up on stage and started telling stories about my family. And I hooked it on my wedding to my husband, Ian, and he had to get baptized Greek Orthodox in order for us to get married. And I thought, I'm just going to spew it. So I started doing the show, and immediately people started to approach me about making it into a film. But they were going to change it into a Hispanic film or an Italian film. So I was like, So again, I just kept doing the show, but I thought, I better write this. I better write it into a screenplay, because you can't copyright an idea. Right. And I sent it off to the Library of Congress. And again, here's another serendipitous moment. When I got the copyright in the mail, Rita Wilson came to the show that night. Now, she's Greek.
Tom Hanks' wife.
Yes, Tom Hanks' wife, Rita Wilson, an actress in her own right. And I was really excited to meet her because there are so few Greek actors that I was like, Rita Wilson. Yeah. So I was really excited. Yeah. And then she said, this should be a movie. And I was like, I've written a screenplay. Like, even as I said it, I'd never written one before, but I was like, oh, man. I did write one. So I gave it to her, and the very next show she sent Tom Hanks to the show, which was bizarre because I'm doing the show like this, and it was a 100-seat theater, and all I could see, usually I could see faces, but all I could see that night were ears, because everybody's head was turned to Tom. And then about 10 lines in, he laughed at something. He was like, ho, 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 and he laughed, and everyone went, okay, we're going to be fine. Okay. And looked at me, and I wanted to turn to everybody and go, I know he's here. Yeah, I know. Yeah. And just so he came. He saw the show, and then he called me up and he said, "We've read the screenplay. We're going to make it into a movie." And then I said I would like to play the lead role, and that's when he said, "Okay."
Okay. And before we go any further, we do have clips. I know we've been talking. We got a clip. Would you like to see a clip? Here's the first one.
Hi, Mount Olympus Travel Agency. May I help you? Well, sure. That's what we do. Absolutely. Right. Well, what you can do is you can book it now. I could reserve the seat for you. Be with in a second. That would be no problem. All right, just call me back when you're ready to book. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi.
Did you want to see some brochures? Found them.
Physical humor. Easy, hard to do.
Oh, it's pretty exciting to do, I think. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always have my glasses on. I can't see without my glasses, folks.
Bono joined us for a moment there.
Yeah, I can do anything. You know, I can do physical stuff, or I do a lot of dramas. You know, I mean, you know, we're actors. We can do whatever.
It's pretty fun to do.
Yeah. Okay, and they keep telling me in the control room through my earpiece, show more clips, show more clips. So I'm just going to jump right to the next one talking about baptisms. Here's the baptism clip.
It's your lucky day to be baptized in the Greek Orthodox Church. Nikki gonna be your godmother. You know, the word baptism comes from the Greek word vaptisia. That's where we dip the baby in a beautiful little silver basin.
Χρύεται ο δούλος του Θεού Ιωάννης, στο όνομα του Πατρός και του Υιού και του Αγίου Πνεύματος. Αμήν. Βαπτίζεται ο δούλος του Θεού Ιωάννης, εις το όνομα του Πατρός και του Υιού και του Αγίου Πνεύματος.
It's not so bad, huh?
Are you kidding? Any minute now, he's going to look at me and go, right, you're so not worth this.
Yes, you are.
What I have to say that I think is so funny is you two are watching the clip behind me like you've never seen this movie before.
I know.
And you're laughing and you're just enjoying it all over again.
We had such a good time.
We sneak into we got to Houston last night, and we went to the Angelica
There was a private screening. And
just to sneak in and see if they're getting the jokes and laughing, and we end up just watching the movie from the side, you know.
yeah,
Every time.
It's really an amazing feeling to hear people laugh that hard.
Yeah.
It's weird. We just want to peek over and go, you like it?
Because at a premiere, we had a premiere in L.A., you know, it's really just all your friends and people who, you know, would laugh if it wasn't funny. And so it's not really a true thing. Although they were hysterical there, we still had never, you know, seen it with you had.
Yeah.
You know,
See, because we've opened
nonpartisan audience.
Audience, yeah, because we've opened in 10 cities already, and what happened is it sold out
Good for you.
all over the place.
Okay, are you worried, or were you worried? I'm assuming at this point it's not an issue anymore. But leading into it, you know, it's a Greek family. You're putting them in a restaurant. There's some stereotypic things. Being Greek, I find the humor in it.
Yeah.
Were you worried, though, people would be like, well, what are you doing this for? You're projecting this image of Greek Americans, and that's not what we are. And did you
I'm
meet
never
any
worried
of
about that because that's like saying that if you watch The Sopranos, then all Italians are mafia. So I never worried
But
about
there
it.
was that same criticism of The Sopranos. You know,
Yeah.
it's making all Italians look like gangsters.
Yeah.
So did you ever get any of that back?
No, I
even if
never
you didn't
got it
worry
because
about
when I was doing the stage show, the Greek community embraced it so fervently. And the reason is 10 people came. They checked me out. I didn't get stoned, and it was okay.
So you could move forward.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do we want to go and see one more clip real quick before we run out of time?
Let's ask the audience at home.
What do you?
Yes, overwhelmingly.
One more. No, they're going to tell me we don't have time for one. You know what you have to do?
We can act
You have
out
to
a
go
scene.
to the movie
You
theater.
have to go see it to get the last clip.
Yeah, do you
because
wanna
then can
see,
the whole-
one scene from the movie?
Act one out
Ready?
first, then live. That's it. Okay. How do you follow that one up? Thank you both very much for coming in. She's falling out of her
Leave me
chair.
under the table. Let's go. See you later.
Oh, she's leaving us now. So you have lipstick all over your
Get a close
That
up
was
on
like
it.
every take we ever did.
Okay, as you two slowly crumble before us, what are the next projects? Anything in particular? You're working on a new series?
It apparently went into the can, so I'm a free agent again.
You're a free agent,
Yeah.
so you're out there looking for something
Yes.
fun to do.
Yeah. I'm going on a vacation.
Okay, well that sounds like a
where are you
worthwhile
going to
cause.
go?
I am going to go to Latvia.
Why?
Yeah,
Oh, and then I'm going to Greece.
Oh,
well,
okay.
actually, yeah, because you're part Latvian, aren't you?
Lithuanian.
Oh, sorry.
Call your
Where's
travel
Latvia?
agent.
Close to Lithuania. Got a lot of goats
Are
there.
you were you gonna go there because I was half
Yeah,
Latvian?
I thought it would be nice.
Well, there you go. Thank you both. Nia, thank you. John, thank you. My Big Fat Greek Wedding is out there. Remember, embrace your heritage and share it with other people. Thank you both very much for coming in today. And remember, weekday every Monday through Friday, 12:30, 10 p.m. Enjoy the day.
Come here,
So
Ernie, kiss
long.
me.
No, goodbye.
If you'd like to contact us at Weekday, call us at 713-743-8513. You can email us at weekday@houstonpbs.org or visit the Weekday website.